to practice this load balancers. You're able to create target groups and you're able to configure these. Or are you busy with India England match? Yeah. Sure, I'll share. So any questions? Any questions before starting today's session? You guys, you got the load balancing concept, right? You're able to take multiple EC2 instances. You're able to deliver with one URL, right? And you can add multiple to a target group and you can deliver that. So clear so far, right? Any questions?
Avinash, so the load balancers by Amazon, are they hardware or software?
It's a virtual appliance. Basically, it's not a hardware device. It's a virtual appliance. That means a software load balancer. And it gives 100% upfront. Basically, you don't need to worry. Okay, for example, if it is a EC2 instance, if one instance goes down, another one should deliver all our requests and all, right? But when coming to load balancer, it is completely AWS responsibility. Yes, they will give 99.99% availability for these load balancers. So you doesn't require multiple load balancers. Yeah.
So it is not.
So basically, it's a virtual one.
It's not transparent to us.
Sorry?
It's not transparent to us. It's not visible or it's not under our control. No. So
yes, exactly. This load balancer, we cannot get connected to it. Okay, we cannot view how exactly it is configured, how traffic is happening, but we have monitoring option. For example, how much traffic is coming to our load balancer, how many 400 requests are coming, how many 500 requests are coming, like, client side errors, server side errors, redirection errors, right? So those all things we can monitor. So, but we don't have any option to see or manage the configuration. All configuration we need to manage through our browser only.
Okay. Yeah. One more question, Avinash. Maybe it's too early. When we create an EC2 instance, either it could be a Linux or Windows, what is the status of this replication? I mean, DR cases. So I mean, so normally other cloud providers, they used to say, like, if you create a VM, so the same VM will be created in 2 or 3 other availability zones to ensure so what is the case with AWS here? I mean, for any Windows or Linux?
Okay, so we have a session on DR scenarios actually.
Okay. Yeah, okay then. Yeah, it's too early.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Got it. Yeah. All right.
Right. So here I'm going to quickly take 2 EC2 instances and I'll configure some additional settings on our load balancer. We have some properties. Yesterday, we mainly focused on primary components. I've not talked about algorithm it is using. Okay. I've not talked about how to enable logging, where we can find the monitoring. All those things I have not discussed in our last session. We will discuss that here in today's session. Okay. And there is one standard way we configure this load balancer and security groups. Even in my project, we follow same mechanism. Okay, that I'll explain. Whenever you observe this for the first time, it looks a bit complex, but if you understand the logic, right, it's easy. Same logic we will use, between web servers, database servers, load balancers, web servers, right? So that we will discuss here. So for that, quickly, I'm going to launch a couple of EC2 instances. I'm going to use user data just to save some time. I'm calling it as a web server 1, my Linux KP, and I'm going to choose AP South 1A. And yesterday we created web server SC, right? I'm selecting it. If you deleted that, you can create a new one. So the logic or mechanism here, why I'm asking you to create a new security group? See, we maintain same security group for group of instances that deliver same application. For example, 10 EC2 instances delivering an application. Now, database team came and they're asking us to open one of the port. Now, if you're maintaining a security group for every individual EC2 instance, which is delivering same application, okay, so you need to go to all 10 security groups and you need to modify. But, if it is for one application, one security group is fine. And if any such type of requirement comes, you open once and all 10 instances will get affected. Will be opened, will be blocked if you remove the entry. So, for easy management purpose or to configure pipeline mechanisms, we use this mechanism. So, for all web servers, I'm going to choose this web server SG only. For load balancer, I'm using load balancer SG. And expand advanced details, go to user data. Here is the user data. Yesterday I shared that, right? Where is that? Yeah, here it is. So I'm taking this user data, giving that here. This is my web server 1 launch instance. Quickly, I'm going to launch another instance, launch instance. Web server 2, Amazon Linux 2, my Linux KP, T2 micro, and I'm going to select AP South 1B this time. And I'm selecting same security group as my existing web server. Okay, I'm giving the user data here and I'm calling it as my web server 2. Okay, then launch instance. So we are going to get 2 EC2 instances. So currently, what is port number 80 status on these EC2 instances? Just verify it is open for everyone, right? Okay, just keep that in mind. Now, quickly, I'm going to create a target group and I'm going to create a load balancer. Create target group. So I'm going with instances. As I told you, if you want to go with IP address, absolutely, you can go and use IP address also. Okay, so I'll show you that for next configuration. So then what is the target group name? Here, I'm going to call this as a TG app TG 80, port number 80. So go with the default options. If you want to configure health check, you can do that. I'm going to add both instances here, include as pending below, create target group. So target group creation completed, but it is not added to any load balancer. The status will show as a unused. Let's go to load balancer now. Create load balancer. Okay, by this time our instances should be ready. Okay, now create load balancer. I'm taking application load balancer. Even if you observe this, the image also, whenever any user request is coming, first it is coming to ALB, application load balancer. And this symbol, right, this circle symbol and arrow symbol, basically it's a target group. So this request, whatever request is coming to this load balancer, it is listening on HTTPS, that means 443. The load balancer listening on 443, it is sending to appropriate target group. If any request is coming on any other, it will listen on it and it will send somewhere. Okay, that is this diagram's purposes. So click on create. What is the name you want to give? App ELB is a name I'm giving. Internet facing, IPv4, selecting default VPC. And one thing you need to observe here, for this load balancer, we are going to get an IP address. But that IP address is allocated or assigned by AWS. Do we have any option to select any specific IP address here? No. Okay, but for network load balancer, we have this option. For network load balancer, we have it. This is one of the difference between application load balancer and network load balancer. Primary difference. First primary difference is so that supported protocols, they treat this as a secondary. Okay, so assigned by AWS. So there is a certification question on this topic. I'll talk about that in some time. I'm selecting all the three subnets and security group. Go and select ELBSG. That is opened with port number 80 for now. Yesterday we opened 8080 also. So then whatever the traffic coming on 80, I'm redirecting to the selected security target group. Scroll down, create load balancer. Now load balancer is creating. Can you turn on your video screen? I think audio is fine, right? All right, so this load balancer is in provisioning state. So once it is ready, we can test the output by using this DNS name. So basically this DNS name is again bit difficult to remember. Okay, so we can map our domain name. For example, if you purchase a domain name like avinash.com or sandeep.com or raghu.com, something like that. So you can map such type of domain names here. Okay, so that we will discuss in our Route 53, not now. Just go with the DNS names for now. So grab the DNS name and you can even observe this instance statuses, whether those are healthy or not. Go to target group. Here it is still in initial stage only. Target registration is in progress. Right. So here it's in healthy state. So both instances are in healthy state here. So that means, okay, they are able to communicate with our load balancer, and this load balancer DNS name will work now. So let's grab the DNS name and give that here. And you see, if I'm giving refresh, it is giving responses from web server 1 and web server 2. So till here we discussed yesterday itself. Nothing new. Okay. So the first thing here we are going to discuss is, first, there is a concept called stickiness concept. Okay. So what is stickiness? You know, that gum, the session, like, so here when coming to this load balancer, right? So now if I am giving refresh, first request is going to first server, second request is going to second server. If you refresh 100 times, 50 will go to server 1, 50 will go to server 2. Okay. So now I don't want to route my request to both of the web servers. Or if you have three, or if all three servers will take the load. So if you don't want to, do in that manner, we can enable an option called stickiness. Okay. So once my browser session is stick to one of the server for a specific duration, all requests will go to that server only. Even through another server is healthy. There is no issue with another server. But my browser session will stick to that particular server for a specific duration, like 1 day or 2 days. All the requests will go to that particular server only. If something happens, if that server is down, so then the request will go to another server. Okay. But if the server is healthy, if it is able to deliver all the requests, so all requests will go there only. Okay. So for that, now you observe, going to 1 and 2. Now navigate to target group. This is a target group. Go to target group attributes. And you see here stickiness is off. Edit that. Okay. Enable the stickiness. Load balancer generated cookie or application based cookie. Go with the load balancer generated cookie. So basically, what is cookie? Whenever you browsing any website, first they will give a pop-up, right? Accept all cookies or customize. Any website nowadays, every single website first, okay, take a cookie, right? So you need to accept that. So what exactly that cookie does? Any answer? Anyone know?
User session data.
Yes, it grab entire user session information along with your operating system. In some websites, even take your location, what operating system you are using, what browser you are using, how much duration the session, or whatever keystrokes you are entering, everything. Okay. So whenever you go to Google, you search for Goa flights, all advertisements related to flights and the fares only. If you search for how to lose weight, all advertisement, even some clinics will call you. Right. So basically they're going to utilize that the session information. So here you can set it up in seconds, minutes, hours, or days also. Okay, I'm going with 1 hour. Then click on save changes. Now, if I go here, if I give refresh, okay, now it is going to web server 1 and 2. Just give a hard refresh. Just give a hard refresh. So then you observe here. So far it went to web server 1 and 2. But now I'm giving refresh. All traffic is going to web server 2 only. So my browser session is stick to web server 2. All the requests for coming 1 hour, it will go to same web server. After 1 hour, session expires again. A new session may go to same server or different server. Okay. So why I explain it is not so important feature. But in interview, the interviewer asks you one question. You have 2 EC2 instances or 5 EC2 instances. Okay. So you're trying to access that, but all requests are going to one web server. Okay. Why it is not going to another web server? So you need to come up from basic. Okay. I'll verify whether that another EC2 instance are up and running or not, whether another EC2 instances or port numbers is open or not, whether those are healthy at target group level or not. If we saying, okay, everything is fine, so then you mention this, okay, I'll verify whether any sticky session is open. That is sending all session to one particular server and all. So for that question purpose, we discussed it. All right. And in developer certification exam, there is a question on this. So you have developed an application and you have 2 web servers in backend. But whenever the web page have a login option. Okay, whenever any refresh happening, immediately it is prompting him to enter username and password. If he refresh 10 times, it is asking him to enter username and password 10 times. Why? Because what happened? When I refresh, session is going to another server. When I refresh again, session is going to another server. As it is another server, it is treating it as another request. Okay, so it is continuously asking us to enter username and password. So to not get into such type of issues, you can enable stickiness. You enter username password once, the session will use the same credentials till that cookies expires. Okay, so this is also another certification question. All right. So that is a stickiness concept.
Sorry, Avnish, one question.
Yes.
Let us say stickiness is enabled and my requests all are going to web server 1. But
yes.
All of a sudden, if my web server goes down, so will the request go to web server 2 even though stickiness is enabled?
I already mentioned this point, right? So currently all requests are going to web server 2. If something happened to web server 2, do I still need to wait for 1 hour? No.
No.
The request automatically go to healthy server.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that is one option. Now there is another option. Okay. So that is if you're taking classic elastic load balancer, you remember it uses round robin mechanism. First request will go there, second request will go here, third one here, and fourth one here, right? When coming to this application load balancer, it also uses default the round robin mechanism only, similar to classic, but it supports 2 algorithms. One is round robin algorithm. That is what we are testing. So whenever we are giving refresh, first request is going to server 1, second will go to server 2. It is a round robin mechanism, right? Now, We have another algorithm here, that is a least outstanding request algorithm. See here, least outstanding request algorithm. Let's try to understand this. So now let's take a simple example. This is a web server 1. Okay, this is web server 2. This configuration is T2 micro. This configuration is T3 extra large. Okay, so now here is a load balancer. Okay, you see here this T2 micro configuration is basically very small, but this T3 extra large is very high. Is it okay if you are sending 50% traffic here and 50% traffic here? Is it fair?
No.
No, right? So you have a 5th class kid and a 25 years guy, you are giving 50 kgs weight for these two guys. Is it fair enough? No, right? So based on the load on their existing EC2 instances, if we select least outstanding request, what happens? It will analyze the load or capacity of that existing EC2 instance. Instead of blindly sending 50% here and 50% here, it analyzes the load. Okay, it sends 20% here, 80% here. That AWS itself will decide based on the existing load. If this is already running with 90% utilization, this is just running with 20% utilization, still sending 50-50 is not fair enough, right? So AWS will automatically balance that base if you are selecting least outstanding request algorithm. Okay, so here at target group level, you select least outstanding request, click on save changes. Now, if you go here, if you give refresh, see currently both are same, it might send to both. But if one is running with high utilization, remaining one is idle, so it will balance automatically. Okay, so that is a least outstanding request mechanism. Okay, so yeah. So that is an algorithm supported by application load balancer. Now, so you decided to enable logging on this load balancer. Logs always important. If you want to investigate some issue, or if you want to find, or if you want to filter, or we can even integrate these logs with third-party applications also. And you can get some graphs and all, we have a lot of third-party applications like Datadog, Splunk, Site 24/7, okay, Cloud Checker. Such type of all third-party applications will take all our logs and they will give beautiful graphs. Okay, so first of all, you need to enable logging on your load balancer. Again, where log stores, in an S3 bucket. All log stores into an S3 bucket. So to create log, first go to your load balancer, scroll down. Under load balancer attributes, we have an option called access logs. This is disable. So go here, edit attributes, enable this access logs and give an S3 bucket name here. If bucket name is not available, you select this option, create this location for me. So I'm going to create a avinash.elb.logs. As a name I'm giving. I don't have any bucket with this name, so I'm initiating to create one. Then click on save. Now, whoever is trying to access or what are the requests coming to this, those all logs will store into the S3 bucket. Okay. So that option, we call it as the access logs on our load balancer. That is another property. So clear so far? Now let's discuss one important security configuration on this load balancer. Okay. So as I told you, this mechanism we are following and even got this question in my interviews also. Earlier interviews and many of the candidates got this question in interview. Now, see, we are accessing this load balancer DNS name. Fine, it is working fine. But some guys curiously, they run some advanced networking tools and they came to know our instance IP addresses. Here is a public IP address. When you give it here, it is working. Okay, so I'm taking another web server IP address, and if I'm giving that here, and it is working. So now you see this load balancer URL is working. This instance IP address or URL is also working. My requirement is only load balancer URL should work. Instance URL should not work. That is what my requirement. Okay. So for this, there is a standard way called pipeline mechanism. Before that, let's discuss one general example. Forget about this AWS. Okay. So, for example, here we have a hero. His name is Rajnikant. Right. And here some audience, some producers are there. Okay. Right. So here some regular guys who want to contact this Rajnikant. All right. So what this Rajnikant did, he have appointed a PA. Okay. So now whoever want to contact Rajnikant, they must come via this PA only, right? But now what is happening? Okay, this PA is nothing but our load balancer here. This Rajnikant is like a EC2 instances here in our example, in our configuration. These all three, right? The end customers or users. Okay, so these all the browser request or users. Now, what we are able to do, we are able to connect to this load balancer and we are getting response. And also, this guy, what he did, he ran some advanced tools and he came to know IP address or address of this Rajnikant or phone number of Rajnikant and is directly contacting this guy. That is what happening here, you see. We are able to access via load balancer URL. And also we are able to access via instance IP address also. So we have two options. Now, is it okay if our instance identity is went outside?
No.
And also, I really don't want to deliver anything via directly with my EC2 instance. All requests should come to my load balancer only. Again, if some request coming directly to the instance, that instance may feel load or stress. Okay, some request may not deliver. So that is not a standard way. If you want, you can make it available, but it's not a standard way. So I don't want to make it available. But this load balancer, this web server output should be available to only load balancer. In simple, this Rajnikant should always available to only his PA. Not to any outside user. If anyone try to access, it should not deliver anything. You got the logic? If anyone want to communicate to Rajnikant, they first need to communicate PA. PA always have, okay, communication with Rajnikant. Similar way, my EC2 instances should have always communication with my load balancer. Okay. But whoever directly trying to access this EC2 instance, this should not work. If they want to access our application, they must connect to this load balancer. This is what my requirement. Okay. So now the simple thing. Whose setting we need to edit? Rajnikant setting we need to edit or PA settings we need to edit? Think currently Rajnikant number is open for everyone. PA number it is okay for everyone. So who need to take care now? Who need to change phone number now?
Rajnikant should block.
Rajnikant, right? So we need to modify Rajnikant security group only, right? That means EC2 instance security group. This is the confusing part, I know. Okay, so PA number can, like, even you can browse in internet and you can get Rajnikant PA number and you can call him. Okay, you mentioned you have 100 crores to make a movie, 100 crores now, right? So here, this guy is okay for open for everyone, no issue. But this guy, we want to hide his identity. We don't want to reveal our EC2 instance identities and all. But these two should communicate each other. So go and modify your EC2 instance security group. To where we need to open. Currently, it is open for everyone. This is my EC2 instance security group, right? Web server SG. Now, the port number 80 is open for everyone. That's why my load balancer is able to communicate and outside users also able to communicate. But remove this, add a new entry. Instead of making it open for everyone, select custom, give your load balancer security group here. Give your load balancer security group. So now what happened? What are all the traffic coming from port number 80? That entire traffic will be accepted by load balancer only. No other resources. So just go here, type SG, and it will show all the available security groups. I'm giving ELB SG. Okay. So the description, piping 82 ELB SG. Okay. So then click on save rules. All right. So now whatever traffic coming on port number 80, it is going to a different security group that is associated with our load balancer. Now, if you go here, if I give refresh, is there any interruption happen? No, it's working as expected. But if we go here, if we give refresh, it's trying to load, And even if you give refresh here, it's trying to load and it's going to fail. This is the standard way we configure in real environment. Okay. However, so far I am able to show output, but now I am discussing about this. Why? Because this is important. If you're adding some experience, make sure you follow this. Okay. You see, it's still loading and it's going to fail. I know. So any confusing part here?
Avinash.
Yes, please.
Avinash, once again, tell me last step.
Last step. Okay. So this is our EC2 instance. It have a security group. Earlier, initially, what is the port number 80 status? It's open for everyone, right? Initially, before implementing this pipeline mechanism, it is open for everyone.
Yes.
So there is a security group that opening all the traffic. This is EC2 instance. And there is a load balancer. This load balancer also have a security group. Okay. So this is also open with port number 80 and 0.0.0.0 class 0. So it is also open for everyone. So as as this EC2 instance, traffic is open for everyone. Whoever coming from outside, directly they're able to connect to this EC2 instance. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Now, what I am doing, instead of making it open for everyone, instead of giving 0.0.0.0, whatever the security group ID I have here, I am giving that security group ID here. You might get a doubt. Hey, Avinash, can you give my load balancer IP address? Of course, but is there any fixed IP address for our load balancer? No, we don't know that, right? If tomorrow IP address changes, communication will between instance and load balancer will interrupt. So simply you take security group of this load balancer and you give that here. So now your EC2 instance is delivering traffic on port number 80 to load balancer security group. So what are all the resources have this security group? Those all can communicate with my EC2 instance. Got this step?
Yes, sir.
Clear now?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. You were saying correct only. But whatever the load balance security group here also same only, port number, and we can access all the guys like that 000/0.
Yeah, but once we modified these settings in this manner, can this guy connect to this instance?
No.
No, that is what my requirement. That is what we are achieving here. You got the point here?
Yes, security group load balancer we need to put in EC2.
So take load balancer security group. Okay, instead of opening this EC2 instance security group for everyone, remove that 0.0.0. Take a security, whatever security group you have for your load balancer, give that load balancer security group ID here. Okay. Yeah. Clear?
Yeah, perfect, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. So same logic we use in our coming sessions also. Spend some time and practice this. How securely we can enable communication between our database servers and web servers? Same mechanism. Web servers and load balancer? Same mechanism. Private subnet instances and a jump server or backend host? Same mechanism. So spend some time today, try to perform it. Okay? Yeah, it's important. I'm taking this much time to explain it, right? So it's important. All right. So this is about application load balancer. Now let's discuss about network load balancer. Again, so I'll just edit this. I'll open for everyone. Delete and add new. Why? Because network load balancer won't have any security group. I'm going to use same servers and same security group. That's the reason. Okay. So now when coming to network load balancer, so it works with TCP protocol. It supports TCP protocol. If you want to have this application load balancer, you can have. Now I'm going to create a new target group. Click on create target group. This time I'm selecting IP address target type as. So far I have selected instances and all. So this time I'm selecting IP addresses. Scroll down. You see here, give a target group name. I'm calling it as a NLB TG, network load balancer target group. And you see here, I'm selecting HTTP protocol. Is this a valid setting? If I select HTTP here, I cannot associate this to my network load balancer. Why? Because network load balancer don't support HTTP. Okay, so click here, select TCP. Network load balancer supports only TCP. Yesterday I even shown you an email. Okay, then scroll down, health checks happening with TCP. Click on next, and you see here, it is asking us to give IP address of our EC2 instances. What are all the instances need to add to this target group? You need to give IP address of the EC2 instances here. So click on instances, grab that instance, private IP address. Why? Because my load balancer is running within a VPC, my instance within a VPC. So use private IP address. It is like, the traffic route should happen over within the network only, not over the internet. That is the reason to select private IP address here. So select the private IP address, give that here, click on add another IPv4, select your web server 2 IP address also, give that here. And make sure you click on include as pending below. Now, whenever you're using this network load balancer or IP address option, whenever you're using this IP address option, you have an advantage that you have a server in on-premise, not in AWS, or you have a server in Azure. See, you have a couple of web servers here in AWS, you have a couple of web servers in Azure. Okay. So you want to add both on a single load balancer. Is it possible? Generally, it is not possible. But if you have VPN connectivity between these, or if you have direct connectivity between these, see, you can enable communication between AWS and Azure. Okay. Or you can enable communication between your AWS environment or your on-premise environment. Whenever you enable such type of communication, you can add that EC2 instance here. So it is like, the simple scenario, you're completely depend on AWS EC2 instances. Something happened to one of the EC2 instance. Okay. If you add a server from on-premise to the same load balancer, if something happened to AWS one, your on-premise one will give response, right? Or vice versa. Something happened to on-premise one, your AWS backup server will give response. Okay. So if you want to build such type of hybrid scenarios, you can use IP address option. Okay. So, but important thing is you must have communication. So here, both instances is in AWS only. So no issues. I have given the IP addresses here, include as pending below, then create target group. All right. A new target group got created, NLBTG. And you see here, it is unused. Now go and create a load balancer. Create network load balancer. And I'm going to call this as a NLB, network load balancer, or my NLB, you can give any name. Internet facing or internal? Internet facing. IPv4 is fine for us. And here, I'm selecting a subnet. And you see here, IPv4 addresses assigned by AWS. If you click here, there is another option, use an elastic IP address. Do we have this option for our application load balancer? Do we? No. Even if you want, you can verify. You just take the screen again. Whenever you are creating an application load balancer. Okay, first I'll create a elastic IP just to show you this. You guys don't do that. It will cost you. Okay. So now I'm creating an application load balancer now. So I'm selecting a subnet here, and you see this only assigned by AWS. Do I have any option to select elastic IP? I have one. I have one ready, but I don't have any. So for application load balancer, we cannot associate any dedicated IP address. But for network load balancer, you see here, we do have an option to select, okay, assigned by AWS. Just give a refresh. Just give a refresh. Okay. So now you see, did I create it in Mumbai? I created in Mumbai only, right? Yeah. Okay, just cancel and start from scratch. It's not picking. That's the reason. Just give a refresh. Create load balancer. Network load balancer. My NLB. Internet facing. I'm selecting the required IP address. Selecting AP South 1A. Now you see this. Use an elastic IP address. I can give an elastic IP address here. So this elastic IP address is fixed for my network load balancer. Similar way, if you select two subnets, you select two elastic IP addresses. Same one we cannot use multiple times. Okay. So you select another elastic IP address. So this is the advantage we will get with network load balancer. And this is a certification question in solution architect exam. How you will get this question, So you have a client. So the client want to whitelist your application delivering from AWS environment. He want to whitelist your application. Okay. So basically whitelisting will happen with the help of IP addresses. So he's asking us to share our load balancer IP addresses. He's asking us to share load balancer IP addresses. So for application load balancer, we don't know. It might change also. So we cannot use it. So create a network load balancer, allocate two elastic IP addresses, allocate elastic IP address for every subnet, give that IP address to your client that he can whitelist in his firewall. This is a certification question. Okay, the question logic is he want to whitelist some IP addresses and the IP address need to be fixed. In future, he really don't want to whitelist again new IP address again and again. So we need a load balancer that can give a fixed IP address. So we can go with the network load balancer. Okay, right. So that is a one certification question. I'm going with assigned by AWS. Okay, so this definitely cost me. I'm going to release it. That elastic IP address. Now I'm selecting both this application load balancer. I'm giving a question answers window, right? I'm giving a question answers window. Let me create this. It will take some time. Then so yeah. Not only now, for every topic. I'm giving a question answers window. Don't interrupt in between. Please. So here episode 1A and 1B, I'm selecting both. I'm not giving any elastic IP. Okay. So here you observe how many target groups I have here in my console now. One is app TG-ID, second one is NLB TG. But if I go here, if I trying to find, it is showing only one. It should show two, right? The reason, it is a network load balancer. It will display only working with supported protocols. TCP, UDP, TLS only. So it is showing only TCP. So that's what I mentioned yesterday. If you're trying to find your target group here, if you're not able to find it, that means you choose wrong protocol. So now I'm selecting TCP here, scroll down, then create load balancer. Now, among all this load balancer, which one gave highest performance? As per AWS and all, or as per AWS documentation and all, there is a line. AWS network load balancer supports millions of requests per second. Okay. AWS load balancer. Whenever you see here network load balancer, the network load balancer capable of handling millions of requests per second and while maintaining ultra low latency. Okay. You see here, there is yesterday I come across this. I doubt AWS network load balancer serve millions of requests per second. Yes, it does. There is a meme template actually. So yes, it does. Right. So just yesterday only I came across. That's why I have saved it. Okay. So this gave highest performance. Right. So once this network load balancer is ready, we can test the output. So these also will give DNS name only. Okay. So you might get a doubt. Okay. Don't we have any option to know IP address of this load balancer? We know. We have a lot of options. We simply grab this DNS name, open command prompt, just give NS lookup, give that DNS name. When you click on enter, you see this. These are the IP addresses. You know, IPLT20.com website or that now the T20 is happening, right? So ICC website is there, right? They gave that score updates and all. Okay. So, you know, this website is actually delivering from AWS. It can handle millions of requests also. So how you are saying? Okay, run NS lookup or dig tool. It tells you what servers it is using. It shows AWS only. Okay. So can we see same IP address in AWS? It is showing some IP address, right? Can we see same in AWS? We can. What you need to do? You need to go to network interfaces. Okay. You see, currently I have 6 network interfaces, 2 for web servers, remaining 2, these 2 for application load balancer, these 2 for network load balancer. I ran the DNS lookup for application load balancer, right? You see this? 13.226, 226 and 121. 226 and 121. So we can get IP address information by running this tool command, but it is not fixed. If you want to have a fixed one, you depend on network load balancer or another process is there. I'll talk about that. Okay. So network load balancer uses what particular protocol? It uses a protocol called flow hash algorithm. Okay. Don't try to understand that. It is a complex one. Flow hash algorithm. So how exactly this works? So these are some scenarios they are giving. Okay. If you are good at algorithm, spend some time and understand that and explain it to me. I don't know how it exactly works. Just remember the name, that is too sufficient. Okay. It works with flow hash algorithm. We don't have any other algorithm options here. Okay, for network load balancer. Right. So that is a network load balancer. Now, one recent version, I've seen one certification question. Okay, your application is working with HTTP protocol only. So you obviously need to use application load balancer only. But you need to allocate a fixed IP address for that application load balancer. How you can achieve it? See, AWS don't have an option. AWS don't have an option to allocate a fixed IP address for application load balancer. But the requirement is I need to have a fixed IP address. So a conflict happening, right? A conflict happening here. So to resolve these conflicts or to support such type of scenarios, AWS introduced an option. This entire application load balancer, we can treat it as a target. We can add it to network load balancer. So your EC2 instances, your load balancer will communicate with HTTP protocol only. Okay. But what you're doing, you are taking whatever the DNS name you're getting for your load balancer and all, you're taking entire setup that you're adding as a target for your network load balancer. Network load balancer have an option that can have a fixed IP address. So you are adding another layer to your application load balancer and you are giving a fixed IP address. Below, IP address changes happen also, no issue. End of the day, it is able to communicate with network load balancer or not. That is important. So for that purpose, we have a new target group option called application load balancer. If you are a fresher, if you don't understand this, no issue. Don't worry. Okay. But if you're planning to add some experience and all, concentrate on this. Okay. So now you see, this is my application load balancer, right? This is my application load balancer. It is having a DNS name. It is delivering output and all. Fine. So far it is fine. But I need a fixed IP address. I need a fixed IP address. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm creating a new target group. Create a target group, selecting target group as an application load balancer. An entire application load balancer, I'm adding it as a target. So give a name, app ELB to NLB. It is going with 80 only. And slash is a health check. Click on next. What is your application load balancer? Or you can add load balancer later. I already have one. I'm going to add that here. Okay. Then create target group. So what is this target contain? This target contains it working with TCP protocol, but target type is an application load balancer. So now go and create a network load balancer, add that as a target, or you can just simply, I mean, I really don't want to waste some time. So I'm just changing this. So now I'm giving app ELB to NLB target group. So you just observe here, whatever traffic coming to this network load balancer, generally what it will do, it will go to listeners. It will see, okay, whatever the traffic coming on port number 80, it will take the traffic. What it will do, it will send to one of the target group. What is the target group here? The target group is this. The target group is this. What this target group contain? The target as a load balancer. So the health status, initial state, let's wait for a minute or two and we can test the output. So earlier we have added instances as a targets. We have added instances as a target, but now we are adding entire load balancer as a target. If you observe this diagram, you see here, this is the application load balancer that we are adding as a target. If you ask me to show in diagrammatical manner how exactly it looks like, I'll quickly do that. So first of all, we have a EC2 instances. What we did, we have combined these EC2 instances an option called target group. So these EC2 instances and target groups created with HTTP protocol. Then what we did, we added these to an application load balancer. So it both are with supported protocol. So end customer, what he is doing is simply accessing with this, but he is accessing with HTTP protocol, no fixed IP address and all. Now, what we did actually, we have combined this everything as a target group. Where we have added this to a network load balancer. So now, if end customer want to access, he is hitting this network load balancer. So from where this network load balancer is delivering the web page, it is communicating with application load balancer. Again, is application load balancer giving the output? Web page? No. Application load balancer taking output from EC2 instances and we are getting output. End of the day, we are giving a fixed IP address for our application load balancer with the help of network load balancer. This is recent version certification exam question topic. And also you need to know if you're adding some experience to your profile. Got it? Okay. Practice this. If you have any confusing things here and all, first create a application load balancer. Okay. Keep it ready. Practice with application load balancer. Before deleting, create a network load balancer, create a target with application load balancer and test the output. Got it? Yeah. All right. So is this ready? This load balancer, this target group. Okay, it is associated and it is healthy. Now, just grab the network load balancer DNS name and give that here. You see, we are getting output from web server 1 and web server 2. So now we are using network load balancer. Is it using flow hash algorithm or round robin algorithm? So application load balancer algorithm only will take effect here. But we are using network load balancer. That is the logic. Okay. Feeling complexity? Bit?
Yeah.
If you spend some time and if you practice, it will be easy. Yeah. So now I'm open to all your questions. So any questions for me, guys?
So elastic IP, like you suggested, like can we do it to know, can we create elastic IP and just for practice purpose and we can delete it after we know how to create. or do you suggest not
So
to create?
elastic IP address comes under free tier eligibility, but only 1 hour is free. So that's the reason. For example, if you
1 hour,
fail to
okay.
delete within 1 hour, if you fail to delete within 1 hour,
Okay.
okay, so then it will start cost you. Just for like, only one time testing and all, it is absolutely fine. You can create it and you can use it. So, but, whatever IP address AWS is giving, we are okay with it. In real environments, yes, you can go and create, company will pay, so no issue. So, but here, if you're okay to, practice within an hour and release it within an hour, just go and create one and you can test it. Okay, but don't forget to release it.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will cost us. And that too within 1 hour only. Only 1 hour is free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And again, like if you create like in future, again like 1 hour is free, right? So from the time we create to the next 1 hour,
no, it's just 1 hour per month.
or like overall 1 hour for free creating.
I
per
mean,
month,
total duration is 60 minutes.
Got it.
And load balancer
Okay.
at 750 hours, you don't need to worry about that. You practice, you delete, you practice, you delete. And see, now I have 2 load balancers also, no issue. Why? Because after some time I delete both, I have that cover up, that empty hours, right? It will cover up. Okay, so with this, we have done with the load balancer concept. Our next topic is auto scaling group concept. Very interesting topic. Okay, very good topic also, but we don't use it in real environment. Okay, why? Because 90% of the times our load is predictable. So generally, whatever application we are creating and delivering here, right? So we know how many clients are coming, we know how many customers are going to use that application. We can analyze the load and we can. Okay, but sometimes only some kind of applications where it is open for public, sometimes traffic is coming huge, sometimes traffic is less. So in that scenarios only auto scaling works better. So the name only telling auto scaling. So based on the load, it automatically scales. Okay, so we have 2 options. I'll just discuss about theoretically. I'm not going to perform anything now. So I'll just give theoretical overview about it. So the logic is very simple, guys. You have 2 EC2 instances to deliver an application. You have 2 EC2 instances to deliver your application, right? So somehow something happened to one of the EC2 instance. Now you have only 1 instance. But your requirement, you always need to have 2 EC2 instances. Okay. So if something happened to one of the EC2 instance, if it is terminated or if it is stopped, if it is not in service, I want to get another EC2 instance automatically. So if 2 instances terminated, I want to get 2 more instances automatically. I don't want to do anything manually. If we are depending on auto scaling group, you need to define your desired count. You need to define your desired count. Okay, my desired count here is 2. If these 2 instances up and running, that is okay. If 2 deleted, I want to get 2 more instances automatically. If those 2 also deleted, I want to get 2 more automatically. If you delayed 100 times, 101th time also, we are going to get 2 more instances. This is manual option. This is setting up a desired count and delivering your application. So regardless of load, it will always verify your requirement is 2 instances are running or not. Regardless of load, whether load is very high, load is very low, doesn't matter. You asked for 2 instances, AWS will give you 2 instances always. Okay, so that is one scaling option. The second scaling option is, okay, that is static actually. If you make it as a 3, AWS will give 3. So it is a static. There is another option called dynamic scaling. So you need to define minimum count and maximum count. You define minimum count and maximum count. So now, whenever for example, minimum count you have defined as a 1, maximum count you have defined as a 10. So the traffic on your website, sometimes it's very high, sometimes it's very, very low. Okay. Whenever the traffic is huge, it automatically need to run, it need to add some instances automatically and it need to deliver. When traffic is very, very less, when load is very, very less, for example, the existing resources CPU utilization is just 5%. You have 2 or 3 instances, CPU utilization is just 5% or below 5%. Do you really need 3 servers in that case? One server with 80% is fine. So you are wasting some resources, you are paying some additionally. So this is one case. Another case is you have 3 servers, all 3 running with 90+% CPU utilization. So all 3 with above 90% CPU utilization means it's a overutilized. Overutilized that definitely impact your application performance. So 3 is not sufficient now. So now we can configure when do you want to run with minimum count, when do you want to run with maximum count. You can take a metric. Whenever my EC2 instance CPU utilization is less than or equal to 10% for last 30 minutes, last 20 minutes or 15 minutes, I want to run my application with one instance. Why? Because very, very less usage. At the same time, we can give another metric. Whenever my CPU utilization of instances is more than 90%, I want to run with maximum capacity, like 10 instances I want to run. We are just configuring. Remaining everything AWS will take care. Adding the instances, removing the instances, that AWS will take care. What we need to do? We need to define when need to run with minimum, when it need to run with maximum. That thing we need to configure. Okay. So that is an auto scaling group mechanism. Right? Yeah. That is what, like, theoretical introduction to that auto scaling group. So we will discuss that in our next session. So how about having a session tomorrow? See, I have a planned leave next week. I have a planned leave probably on 16th or 18th. 90% it's 18th. Okay. On 18th, I have a planned leave. So to compensate that, is it okay if I take session tomorrow?
I feel like I have planned
Some time to practice, sir, please, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sir,
So,
some sessions we are not done.
Okay. So then is it okay if I take 18th, 19th, 20th? Is that okay if you get 3 days?
Okay, sir, no problem. See, whatever saying, when you practice, then only clarity, sir. That's I'm thinking and asking.
Exactly. I agree. That's the reason you know my comment, right? Make sure you practice on same day. That is one common dialogue. Second common dialogue is make sure you terminate all your resources. Why? Because these two are very, very important. First one, you don't understand the subject if you don't practice. Why? Because basically this AWS, right? It's an infra. So lot of small topics. I suspect you still remember S3 topics. Okay. So you need to practice, even at least you can recap. My suggestion, I follow this personally. Okay. So take a chart, drawing charts, right? Take a drawing chart, make it 4 parts. Okay. So, first part, like make it 8 parts actually, not 4. So first part, IAM. Write some important points regarding that IAM. Okay. So then below S3. Where is that? Oh. Okay, do this. So take a drawing chart. Make some parts like this. Here IIM. Okay, write down all the important points here. Take S3. Write down all the important points. It's a drawing chart, very bigger one actually. So paste it to your room wall. Whenever you are brushing, customer. ఎవరు తప్పకేసుకుంటావు? సమంత తప్పకేసుకుంటావా? ఏమొస్తుంది? Important points, just make a list of points here. So whenever you are brushing, stand in front of the chart, do the brush. Whenever you're having a tea, do that. Okay, right. So whenever you have some time, just have a glance at that. Just have a look at that, and okay, automatically that will feed into your mind. Even in future, if any telephonic interview is scheduled, if it is just a telephonic interview, you can stand in front of the chart and you can take that call. Okay, so instead of yeah, you can do this, right? It's not a very big thing actually. So follow this. I used to do this. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, the next
All right. So your voice is cranky. I didn't get that question.
I was saying like your suggestion is good to have that kind of thing, and I'm also preparing all the tasks, like what to say, like in a document kind of thing, so that tomorrow, maybe after some time, it will be helpful for us to visit the document. It will help us to know what we did earlier.
See, the thing is I preparing these notepads, right? You can refer that notepads, and there is a book for practice, so you can refer those. So that definitely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Avinash.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Avinash, based on S3 interview questions, can you provide it topic wise?
Topic wise interview questions I don't have, but entire interview set of questions I have.
Okay, at the end
I will share that later in the course.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you can share, sir.
One more thing, Avinash.
Yes, please.
If I am providing, I don't have experience on AWS. I have experience on other SQL and PLSQL.
Okay.
On 3+, how they will ask in real time environment.
That I'll talk. I mean, it is too early to discuss that. Definitely, I'm going to talk how to mention the project in your resume, how to talk in your interview. But one thing you need to follow is, see, in between, I'm saying some points. Okay, if you're adding some experience, you concentrate on this. Okay. So these things, you make a note of it. You make a note of it, and you spend some more time to practice that. Okay. So that I personally recommend. And if I say something, if you have any plan to write certification exam, I'm telling you about that also. You plan on that. I have a quiz on EC2. After a couple of sessions later, I'll share that. Hardly one session on auto scaling group, one session on roles and CLI, one session on systems manager. So hardly 3 and 4 sessions we're done with EC2 module. EC2 is only the big module here. VPC 4, required 5, database 3, then Route 53, 1.5 session. So then all big modules completed. Then all are remaining small topics only. So we are in important topics, so spare some time and practice.
Yeah. Thanks for it.
Sir.
Yes, please.
మనకి అన్ని రీజన్స్ కి ఎలిజిబిలిటీ ఉండదు, అంటే చేయడానికి ఏదైనా లాంచ్ చేయడానికి అయినా కానీ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ మనం అండర్ ముంబై రీజియన్ లోనే చేస్తున్నాం కదా.
See, we can see, if you want, you can switch to different region and you can practice. But sometimes whenever you create account for the first time, AWS may limit you to work on only specific regions like Northern Virginia, Ohio region, or Oregon region. Okay. So,
Okay.
but in real environment, we will create resources near to end customer location. If your all clients or customers are in, right, Singapore, you can choose Singapore region and you create. Here, I'm sitting here in Hyderabad. So why I always choose Mumbai? I'm sitting here in Hyderabad. So if I launch a server in Mumbai, I can quickly get connected to it. No latency, nothing. Latency means if I'm typing something, small delays. If I want to get connected, small delay will happen. So to not get into that issue, I'll use Mumbai.
Mhm.
Apart from that, there is no other reason. So you are allowed to choose any of the region.
Actually, I tried to launch in Northern Virginia, sir. Launch చేయడానికి చూసాను ఇన్స్టెంట్, బట్ ఇట్ డజంట్ వర్క్. సింగపూర్ రీజియన్ లో లాంచ్ చేస్తే అయింది.
Okay.
I don't know why it
you-
doesn't work.
Just go to this account and you scroll down, you will find this. There are 6 regions that are not enabled for this account. So if you also getting in this manner, click on this manage regions option.
Okay.
Click on manage regions. So you do have an option to enable it. Okay, you see here, for example, I cannot launch anything in this Cape Town.
Hmm.
Why? Because I have not enabled. So if I want to, I can click on enable and I can start working on it. So yeah, that is an option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. For me, it doesn't matter which region you're using, which method you're using to get connect and all. Whether you are practicing or not, completing all the tasks or not, only that thing is important for me. So for today, the tasks are pretty straightforward. Practice entire load balancer and that golden AMI concept. You're getting some time, spend some time and practice at golden AMI and load balancer. And in our next session, we will start with auto scaling group. Right. Next session is on Monday. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Avinash?
Yes.